Greetings, and I'm Dr. Michael Martirano, the proud superintendent of the St. Mary's County Public School System, and welcome to another edition of the Superintendent Spotlight. As you know, this is a show where we are featuring our outstanding staff members in our school system, outstanding partnerships within our community, and today I'm very delighted to have two of our fabulous teachers in the school system who are working really hard in the implementation of what we are affectionately known as Race to the Top. And today what I want to do is try to frame the Race to the Top explanations so that community members, staff members, parents within our community can fully understand how our school system is responding to the national agenda set forth by President Obama entitled Race to the Top. So without further ado, let me introduce two of my wonderful individuals I've got with us today. We've got Don Pipkin, who is a wonderful teacher at Leonardtown Middle School. And we have Brian Rose, who is one of our instructional resource teachers at Benjamin Banneker. I might add that both teachers are instructional resource teachers. So how you doing today?
Great.
Great? Good day?
Fine. Good day. Yes.
Good day?
Good day.
The elementary and the middle school. I know it's October and a lot of thoughts about the school year. We've had a very interesting opening this year. Who would have thought we would start with an earthquake, a hurricane, and tornado spottings? So had we been a little more proactive, we may have thought about a different theme this year. Starting off with a bang may have been more appropriate for that. But I know both you have been very instrumental in working on the specific components of Race to the Top. Both of you have assumed some leadership roles in the actual implementation at the local level and at the state level. And Dawn, in particular, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
You were, I don't know, a lot of people really fully understand the actual leadership role that you have played in the state, being selected to be part of a very important committee. So tell us about the committee and the council that you serve on.
A year ago last August, the governor appointed the Educator Effectiveness Council. And the council had 21 members with statewide representation. And the goal of the council was really to kind of look at the landscape of teacher and principal evaluation and to make some recommendations to the legislature and the governor about some pieces that we thought would be strong components of a model for statewide evaluation. So there were 6 teachers, and I was one of the teachers on the council. And we still have 2 follow-up meetings where we'll be looking at some information that will come back from our 7 pilot counties. But basically the work of the council last year was really to gather all the research on teacher effectiveness and principal effectiveness and look at what some good determiners would be to be part of an evaluation model.
Right, because part of the Race to the Top is the main thrust of that is just President Obama's national call for educational reform. In the state of Maryland, we're looking at this as the third wave of educational reform. And there are several assurances associated with Race to the Top as we talk about this being the actual initiative. There was some money associated with this. The state of Maryland applied, received $250 million. Interesting enough, that only translated to $1.6 million for St. Mary's County in terms of one-time money to implement a lot of different things. But one of the assurances was about great teachers and great leaders.
Yes.
And that's where that evaluation component came into play heavily. So you were actually involved in that. One of the things, if I remember in our conversations, you spent a lot of time having conversation with me, sending emails, was coming up with the definitions of effectiveness. Talk a little bit about that.
In the process, as we were talking about what it means to be a great leader, a great teacher, obviously we talked a lot about pedagogy and knowledge and engaging students, but trying to, in the application there's pieces that talk about effective and highly effective, and trying to sort out what makes someone highly effective beyond the day-to-day meeting student needs and planning quality instruction. But that piece about sharing with colleagues and that collaboration piece where you're modeling and sharing ideas that have worked with you with other people so that everyone can benefit from those ideas. So that was a key piece. A key piece
with it, and let's kind of frame it a little more, with No Child Left Behind, which was the educational reform, about 10 years ago, which we're on about in terms of the actual years with it, was a lot of focus talking about highly qualified. That was having to do with certification and making certain that all the markers were checked off along the way as far as certification, degrees, and making certain that teachers were highly qualified. This moves into the whole arena of being highly effective.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Basically, in the components of being effective, not only is it you being able to show your knowledge of your content and conveying that to students, but it's also that knowledge of your students.
Right.
And having that understanding of that you know where each student is and being able to take a student from where they are and move them towards mastery of that curriculum for that grade level or that content area. So it really takes into account not just teacher knowledge and delivery of content, but also their understanding of their students and student progress. So.
Right, and marrying all that together. So we want teachers to be highly qualified, but highly effective.
Yes.
And we're working towards that with our evaluation. Brian, let me talk to you a little bit about the fact that another major assurance is the core curriculum, the establishment of a curriculum that is consistent from state to state, from county to county within the state. And there's lots of educational reform now, a lot of work going on at the local level, state level, regarding the core curriculum. And you were part of, both of you were a part of the actual implementation of the work that's going on now about the curriculum adjustments. Talk about the effectiveness academies that occurred this past summer, the training that our teachers received, and what's going on right now as we transition our school system from the curriculum that we currently have as the Maryland State curriculum to the actual core curriculum.
This summer we had the opportunity in June to meet as teacher teams. So the principal and then 3 teachers would go to academies up in Charles County. We got a chance to dig in for 3 days into the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose, obviously, of the curriculum is to standardize it, and I think in our community especially that's going to be important. We have military families who move around.
Good
It's
point.
very important for the children to have a standardized curriculum so they're not at any kind of disadvantage coming from a different state. So that's what our job was this summer, and then we were tasked with bringing that back to our schools, and that's what we've been doing on all of our professional development days,
Okay.
our planning meetings, things like that, digging into the core. Currently, pre-K, K, and 1 is doing it to fidelity. They are only using the core, and then the rest of our grades are still kind of blending while we move in the next 2 years to using the core for everyone.
Okay, so a lot of work right now is happening in both of your schools around the planning. So for our parents' point of view is that we're really on top of understanding what's expected from the state and then how we're going to implement.